Opening traps. This is a very scary word for many beginners and intermediate players, right? I can understand that completely because we are always afraid of losing a game early in the opening, and it happens also in your games. I know this thing because I teach many kids also, and they are complaining always about, oh, I played this thing and that thing. But once you start understanding that if you follow certain opening principles, then you are never going to get into any opening trap. So that's why studying the opening principles is very, very important, and also following those principles, or you can say applying those principles in your game. So in our today's video, I'm going to show you why you should not play unnecessary pawn moves and why should you focus on development of your pieces. These are basic opening principles which you need to follow, and I have decided to show you this thing from one of the opening traps that comes from the Vienna game opening. Okay, so here I am going to show you this trap from the black side. Okay, so pay attention to the video and try to understand. I'm going to show you the trap also and its refutation also, what you can do to avoid this kind of things in your game. Okay, so white starts with e4, black plays e5 move in this position, and after this white plays knight to c3. Well, when you play knight to c3, the idea is to play f4 at some point and the game will be converted into Vienna game. And if you play knight f3, obviously the game is not going to be that. It will be normal 4 knights game or something like that. Okay, so black also develops a piece. This is a very good strategy. See guys, you should pay attention to this thing, that in opening there are 3 opening principles which you need to always follow. These are like the control of the center. These 4 squares are very, very important, and you need to always pay attention to this thing, that you are controlling these 4 squares. Another thing is that you should try to develop your pieces as quickly as possible. And the third most important principle is king safety. Your king should always be safe. Most of the time we try to safeguard our king by castling on the left or right side, means on the short side or the long castle. Okay, so here white played f4, which is a very normal move. Black decided to develop a piece with bishop to c5. Now this bishop is there on this diagonal. Okay, so here white also develops a piece with knight to f3. Until now everything is going fine, but black plays d6. He tries to his intention is to play bishop to g4 at some point and develop the bishop. So here in this position, a normal player who knows about the opening principles will definitely go for something like bishop to b5 and develop a piece. And maybe at some point he wants to castle, then ideas like even if you play bishop to g4, then I can go for knight a4, exchange this bishop and then castle. Okay, fair enough, it can happen. We'll discuss about it later also. But white was little bit afraid of bishop to g4 move, which is not really harming white. So that's why white plays f5, stopping this bishop's diagonal. Okay, fine. Black develops a piece with knight to f6. Now his idea is to play knight g4 and hitting on knight f2. I'll just show you any random move. If you play, let's suppose you play d3, then knight g4 will be coming and knight f2 followed by there will be a fork, and so many threats will be there. Okay, so here in this position white decided to play h3. Well, h3 might look like a very reasonable option here because knight g4 is stopped, but it is creating so many weaknesses around white's king. You can see now this diagonal is also opened up. The queen can always come here. This bishop was already on this diagonal, and now as white has played so many moves, instead of developing the pieces, he is lacking in development. You can look at black's pieces. His knights are developed, the bishop is also developed. And now here in this position, to take advantage of his piece development, black decided to open up the game. This is also very important concept which you should remember. The side which is having leading development should always try to open up the game, because that side is well prepared for the opening of the game. So black plays d5 here. Obviously here e into d5 is one of the moves where black will play knight into d5 and he will get more play. That is quite sure. But here white decided to play a move which is really a mistake. He decided to capture the pawn on e5, thinking that he will trap his opponent by, if he captures here, then d4 will be played and he will get rid of this bishop somehow, or he will get some pawns in the center of the board. But this is a very wrong process, very wrong thinking, because you are actually helping your you are actually helping your opponent to open up the position, and then it will be a disaster. Here black was actually ready after knight e5. He was ready with the next move, that is knight to e4. He captured one pawn, and now there is no time to capture this knight on c6, because you can see the queen's diagonal is opened up, so black can play queen to h4 check. The king needs to move to e2. Okay, even if you play g3, the same thing is there. You are going to capture the pawn. So if king e2 is played, then now there is going to be a check and mate. He plays the knight c3 check. You need to capture the pawn, okay, by any of the, otherwise you will lose the queen. You can see there is a knight fork also in this position. So if white captures here, then you can give a check. The king doesn't have any squares, so king d2 is the only move. And now we are going to play queen to e3, and it's going to be a check and mate. So you can see that white doesn't have time to capture on c6 square. So here in this position, white decided to go back with knight to f3, thinking that now he is controlling this h4 square. But the surprise was waiting for white, that he has not developed his pieces, right? These bishops are there, the king is there in the center, and the position is so much opened up. And now white comes up, means black comes up with a very brilliant idea. He decides to sacrifice the queen, guys. Can you guess the move? I hope you have guessed it till now. If you have not guessed it till now, you can pause the video and guess the move. The move, which is a shocking queen sacrifice, is queen to h4 check. Yes, he's giving a check, and now obviously we are going to see like what happens like when queen is captured. But if you don't capture the queen, okay, let's suppose you play this move, then we have a simple move, that is queen to f2 check. King has only one square, and now can you swat the check and mate? Yes, the king is getting checkmated with knight to b4 check and mate, because king doesn't have any squares to move around, and it's game over. Well, we are going to see now what happens if the queen is captured. And now the funny thing is that black said like, okay, I don't need my queen, I can just checkmate white's king with my minor pieces. Now the bishop comes on f2 with a check. Now king e2, the knight joins into the game with knight d4 check. King has only one square, that is king to d3. And now here the final move, that is the checkmate, is knight c5 and check and mate. So you can see there are no squares. The king can move here in this position. It cannot capture the knight because there is a support here. It cannot go in here, and that's how the game was over. So guys, from this very simple example, you can understand that you should not play unnecessary pawn moves in this position, means in your game. You should try to develop your pieces as quickly as possible. And if you follow these things, if you take care of your king, then definitely you will be safe in the opening and you will have a good game. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. For more interesting videos, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel if you are not done until now. We'll be meeting very soon with some interesting topic. Till that moment, take care and goodbye. Love you all.